So let's dive into a fascinating literary puzzle, one that revolves around maybe the greatest mystery story ever written. It's a story so perfectly crafted that it's been adapted over and over again. But what if I told you that the most famous versions of this story have completely different endings?
And that question right there is at the very heart of Agatha Christie's dark masterpiece, And Then There Were None. It's kind of a mystery about a mystery, you know? And to solve it, we really have to dig into the history of the story itself.
Okay, but first things first, to even begin to understand how the endings could be so different, you have to appreciate the absolute genius of the setup, a premise so brilliant and frankly terrifying that both versions used it as their rock-solid foundation.
I mean, this setup is just iconic, right? An inescapable trap. You've got 10 strangers, all with a guilty past that the law could never touch, and they're all lured to this remote place, Soldier Island. Their host is a total no-show, but there's this creepy little nursery rhyme hanging in every room that, well, it becomes the terrifying script for their deaths one by one. It's the perfect blueprint for an unstoppable crime.
And here's what's so interesting. Both the classic 1945 film and the fantastic 2015 BBC series, they start out by following this blueprint almost exactly. They really do begin as near-perfect mirror images of each other.
The cast of characters? Yeah, it's pretty much the same lineup. You got the judge, the anxious governess, the shaky doctor, the tough-as-nails mercenary, the corrupt cop, and the very prim and proper spinster. All the classic archetypes are there, making up this perfect little collection of guilty people.
And both versions have that moment. You know the one. That unforgettable, absolutely chilling scene. During their very first dinner, a gramophone record starts playing, and this disembodied voice, their host, Mr. Unknown, accuses every single one of them of a specific murder. All their darkest secrets are just laid bare for everyone to hear. The trap has officially been sprung.
Okay, but this is exactly where that perfect mirror starts to crack. The two stories begin to go down very different paths. And the biggest clue to this whole split? Well, it all comes down to the character of the cynical, gun-toting mercenary, Philip Lombard.
And wow, does this one character change everything? See, the 1945 film completely flips the script. Lombard's not actually a killer at all. He's a good guy named Charles Morley who becomes the romantic hero. But the 2015 series? Nope. It gives us the man straight from the novel. A cold, unapologetic murderer who flat out admits his crimes.
So you see, this is way more than just a little character tweak. It is a fundamental shift in the entire story. By creating a hero, the 1945 film becomes a story about potential innocence, about survival. The 2015 series, by sticking to those dark, guilty characters from the book, commits to a story of inescapable dread.
All right, so let's get to the main event. Let's see how this one fundamental change builds to two completely different and equally shocking conclusions.
In the 1945 film, you get that classic Hollywood ending. Vera and Philip, who we now know are actually innocent, figure out the judge faked his own death. So they stage Philip's death to trick the killer, they confront him, and they're rescued as lovers. It's a classic tale, right? The heroes outsmart the villain, and justice wins.
But the 2015 series? Oh, it goes right back to the novel's absolutely bone-chilling finale. A terrified Vera shoots Philip. Consumed by guilt, she goes back to the house, only to find a noose waiting for her. Then Justice Wargrave just appears, reveals his whole insane plan, and watches as she hangs herself. Then he shoots himself, leaving 10 bodies and a completely impossible riddle for the police. Just total annihilation.
So, this just begs the question, right? Why on earth would anyone change one of the most famous and, let's be honest, one of the bleakest endings in all of literature? Was this just Hollywood trying to clean up a dark story for the masses?
Well, here's the answer to our little puzzle. The person who changed that famous ending was Agatha Christie herself. Yep. When she was adapting her own book for the stage, she decided the original ending was just too grim, too nihilistic for a live theater audience. So she wrote a brand new one, where Vera and Lombard were actually innocent, they outsmarted the killer, and they survived.
So get this, the 1945 movie wasn't ignoring the novel. It was faithfully adapting Christie's other version from her super successful stage play. The story literally had two official endings, both written by the Queen of Crime. The 2015 series was just the first big English-language version to finally adapt the original, much darker ending from the book.
Which leaves us with these two completely different ideas of justice, both coming straight from the story's creator. So what's the real difference between the justice of the novel and the justice of the play?
Well, on one hand, you've got this vision of absolute justice. It's cold, it's impartial, and it's complete punishment of the guilty. Nobody gets a pass. But the other vision, it allows for a different kind of justice, one where heroism and love and even survival are possible, even when things look incredibly dark.
It just goes to show you how one brilliant premise can explore two totally different ideas about humanity. The novel is this chilling look at guilt, basically concluding that, deep down, everyone is responsible for something. But the play, and the film that came from it, it offers this little glimmer of hope that even in a group of condemned people, you can still find innocence and heroism.
And that leaves us with one final big question. The 1945 film was faithful to Christie's hopeful spirit for a public audience. The 2015 series was faithful to our original darker plot. So which one is the true version? You know, maybe the answer is that they both are. And maybe that just shows the incredible power of a story that can hold two perfect and perfectly different endings.